Alright, so we moved into a new garage. It's a little bit smaller than what I'm used to here, but actually I'm used to this. Having a giant garage is a two-car garage was kind of a bonus at my father-in-law's house, but anyway, we're doing some tear apart. First thing, breaking the garage in, is we're going to be cup holders. So it's a cup holder mod. It's real simple. So there's the old center console and everything. I already kind of got started like I always do. Pull out everything. I actually pulled my seat out so I could get to these, because I picked this up at the junkyard because I was missing one. So I could take all these off, access those easier, and it gives me a little bit more room in here. So I went to the junkyard and I got the entire center console out of a 1999 Toyota 4Runner. So there's my old piece, no cup holders. You guys saw the other one, it has cup holders. So yeah, I've already kind of cleaned and scuffed it up and got it ready to paint it black so it'll match all the rest of the stuff. You do have to pull pretty much everything out of your center console here. What I suggest, what you have to do actually, is you have to pull the e-brake handle from the 99. So, and I pulled the bracket as well. So this is the original bracket that goes here, that at the bottom of your center console mounts to. You can't see it, I pulled that piece out. So inside of the center console is two bolts that just mounts it right there, and then there's two screws that hold it, that screw into your trim here around your shifter. So that's the old one, and if you look, when you line the holes up and everything with the new one, you can see the difference. So they don't really, it's not going to match up unless you do some bending or cutting or drilling, or drill new holes and tap them and move this thing back a little bit. I don't know, however you want to do it. But I pulled the bracket and I pulled the e-brake handle, because I'll show you guys the e-brake handle is a little bit different. And then you actually have to reroute these two plugs. So right there you got your two buttons for your ECT power. That's the electronic control transmission. It changes your shift points in your transmission, so you get higher RPMs out of everything. And then you actually have your rear window up and down. So I pulled the loom apart, got all the tape and everything off of it, so that way this little wire goes to your e-brake and gives you your light letting you know your e-brake's on or not. There's your cable. And then this loom here, it's gonna go, it goes and attaches right there. It's gonna go behind everything here and go up and over, and I moved the buttons just to underneath the dash right here, where so it's gonna be just to the left of the steering wheel. And what that's gonna do is it's gonna give me allow me to move it, because like I said, there's no inserts in the new center console piece right here because it's got cup holders. And then this e-brake handle is actually going to shift over. So I'll show you on the e-brake handles over there. Alright, so here's the new center console piece, and you can see like it kicks it over to the right, the e-brake. So it's gonna be in the, right now it's in the center, it's gonna shift it over, and the way it's gonna do that, and this is why you need to pull the e-brake handle, which originally I didn't, is if you look at the brackets on that one compared to the brackets on this one, it's longer here and it's shorter in the back versus, let's see if I can get them to stand up actually next to each other. So you can see how different those two look. This is a lot longer here than it is here. So this is the old one and this is the new one. And this is a little shorter than that one is. It's longer. So, and originally I went to the junkyard and I just pulled the center console, And then I got home and I was like, oh crap, I'm gonna need that handle. So I had to go back and pull it out. But all of it together, I think it was like 30 bucks from the pick and pull. And that was like down in San Diego. I don't know where you guys are at, but so yeah, there's the old one and the old e-brake handle, and then the old bracket to hold. And there's the two holes right there. The bolts are actually still in there that are mounting it down. So, and then this is the new one, and it was actually busted. So I used like the same stuff that I used on my grill to just hold it in place. So, and the video, there's another video out there on how to do this mod, and the guy said you gotta trim it, right? Because it's like shaped different or whatever. I put the center console in there and it kind of matched up and set in there pretty perfect. So I don't think I'm gonna need to do any kind of trimming or anything, as long as I just change the e-brake handle, change that bracket, and it's gonna be just a drop in. So it's gonna be pretty good. But yeah, I'm gonna have cup holders and I'm super excited about it. And there's like a little cubby here, and then this little cubby kind of like goes in the back here. However, I think it's like this. So there's multiple little things that are gonna be kind of different, but yeah. So the only thing that I don't like about this whole thing is the button for the rear window is upside down. And the reason for that, so down's on top, up's on bottom. And the reason for that is it sits upside down in that center console. So when you're looking at it from your driver's seat or passenger seat or whatever, it is the right way. But now that we've moved it to the dash, it's not the right way. But I'm just gonna have to get used to that, I guess. So yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and just paint all this stuff and throw it in there, get it back together, so that way do some cleaning while I got the seats out. It's kind of gross. But yeah, like I said, I'm just gonna run these two over behind the dash, up and over where my keyless entry is and all that stuff, and then it should just be a really easy deal right there. So yeah, should be a simple mod. Just gotta paint it and get it in. I mean, if you're not gonna paint it, then you don't need to pull your seat and all that stuff like I did. All you gotta do is just take out the center console, take out the bracket, take out the e-brake handle, take out some of those dash pieces so you can reroute everything, and then just put it all in and it's good to go. If you have the climate control for the rear, find one that has the climate control in the rear from the 99. There was a bunch of them at the junkyard. I don't have a climate control in the rear, so I had to find one specifically for that didn't have it. So the climate control's down there underneath the ashtray, so it's kind of easy deal. And then everything else is literally the same. This one didn't have an armrest. Somebody had taken it from the junkyard already, but I lined up mine from my old one and it actually fits. I'm just gonna have to trim these little knobs off and it's gonna fit up perfect. So yeah, it should be really easy to do this mod. So I'm not gonna do any trimming or cutting of the side like they said. Some of it is just, you gotta like cut it to make it fit or something like that. I'm not doing any of that. It's gonna, I mean, if you look at it, when I set it right here, it lines up with these holes for these screws. It sits down flush. There's a little bit of a gap in the corners and stuff, but I'm not too worried about it. I think if I like did a little bit of a trim here and kind of gave it an arch, it would sit flush. But like I said, I'm not really too worried about it. It all sits pretty, and most of that's gonna be hidden by the seats and everything, so I think it's gonna be perfect. No problems. Sits a little bit higher, it looks like, but again, not an issue. I think it's gonna be good stuff, so we're gonna get it. Oh, we got a little friend here today. I moved up to Washington, so They just roam around the yards and stuff like that. See if we can't get a little bit closer to him. Oh yeah, he's cool. Yeah, so, alright, I'm gonna get back to it. Alright, so like I said, there's that one wire. I kind of redirected it to the other side instead of running. It was running on this side with that whole loom into here. I redirected it because I split all the way down to there. So it's running straight back now, and that's plenty of room to go to this e-brake. And then this cluster of wires right here kind of goes in and around right here, and then it runs, like I said, right by my keyless entry and then up to this little pocket. So there's those two plugs for those two switches, so they're rerouted, everything's good, and that's pretty much it for that. And then at this point I can put those trim pieces back on and then get back to painting. I really should have been painting this, and then as the paint's drying, do the wiring, paint wire. But I wanted to get that and make sure I didn't have to add any wires to it or anything to extend it. It looks like it's good though. It's a little tight in there, but I think it's gonna be fine. This one's a little bent too, so I can straighten that out and give it a little bit more to get further over. But I think it'll be alright, considering. So, cool. We got our switches moved. Now we just have to play with the rest, bolt it all up. Like I said, I'm gonna do some cleaning too, because that other e-brake handle was pretty nasty from the junkyard, and I already cleaned all these up last night. So I'm just gonna get to it. Alright, so one more thing that I actually had to do was, if you notice these holes here in the old one, the new one has little notches, and this one had like little pins on it. I don't know where they went. Oh, there's one right there. So I just cut those off and trimmed them off and shaved them smooth with just a razor blade. And then I'm gonna trim these ones off so it's just flush and smooth. And then this one should just bolt right on, right there, no problems. Everything, the latch lines up, everything. If you look, they're pretty much the same size, so pretty simple deal. And then as far as this cup holder, it'll fit here, so I'm just gonna move it over, real simple, and then move the cover piece over for this little cigarette ashtray. Move that over here, and then that's that. So yeah, it's pretty simple, pretty easy little mod. I'm super excited about it because I'm gonna have cup holders. So I'm gonna finally get to painting and stop talking. Alright, so let's hook back up. Got the dash mounted, everything's good. Got the key on. Works. Window. Button works. We're in there. So, now the rest of this mess. So the one thing that I just noticed is I screwed the armrest on and it doesn't necessarily line up. It's a little bigger, so it doesn't latch, which isn't terrible. I mean, that looks fine the way it is. But the thing is I might be able to just scoot these holes back a little bit, drill some new holes, and run this latch a little further back down to make contact with that, just so it latches, you know, and then that won't be so terrible of a thing. So we'll see how this turns out. If it doesn't latch, that's the least of my worries, because cup holders are more important. So we'll see what's up. I'm just gonna paint it and make it work, I think. So yeah. Alright, problem solved. Latches now. There was like a little U-shaped lip that held this in place with the screws. Took a Dremel and just shaved it, so I left the sides so it would hold it in place on the sides at least. And I moved the screw hole back about 1/4 of an inch, and now it latches. So we're gonna go here. So yeah. Now we'll just take it all back apart now that we fixed that and paint it. Alright, so when you're taking the e-brake off, there's a little tab right there that holds the cable in that groove. And then the cable just runs up through that hole right there, that little bracket. And it's threaded on the end. And then it's also double nutted to lock it in place. So the 10 mils, you need a combo and a ratchet, and then good idea is probably to measure how far or how many threads the nut was down, but it might be a little bit different with the new e-brake. So I didn't really measure it, I'm just gonna kind of go by feel. But you can see when I put this thing up to it, it pushes it over. It's not in the middle anymore, it's off to the side, so pretty bitchin'. We got that bracket in. Gonna put this in now, get this all lined up, and then all I'm doing is just waiting for paint to dry. So once that stuff's dried up, we'll slap everything back together and have a really cool center console. So I can't wait. The e-brake in, that little groove, it makes contact with this and it won't allow you to line this ball hole up. So I was reading reviews online before I did this, and they were saying you have to cut 1/8 of an inch off of that. And that was if you were using your existing e-brake, because what the guy did was he was using his same e-brake, which was further over in the middle, and he was basically just pushing it over and making a new hole, so that way it angles to the side. So I didn't think I was gonna have to cut that, but it does make contact, so I do have to cut 1/8 of an inch off of that, probably right there where that paint's chipping out. So I'm gonna go cut that with like a little Dremel or something and just lob it off and then get this thing all in there. So just a heads up, that's another step you gotta do. You gotta cut that little knob. It's still a little bit tacky, but I used the heat gun to kind of speed up the process here. So, and then I put the armrest on so it has something to set on instead of screwing up the paint, so we can put all the pieces together. So start assembling this thing, get it back in her. Alright, and there's the old versus the new. Obviously new, obviously old. So it is going to sit a little bit higher, not by much, but some. So just waiting on these little panels for the seats, on the sides of the seats, to dry, and then start install everything back together. I just want to cup holders. It's gonna be bitchin'. Yeah, just all back together. Gonna be cool. Alright, it is now dark, and I have got the center console in. So everything's back together. That's kind of a pain in the ass to tell, but it's bitchin'. Next step, test it. Works. I think I'll just wait till tomorrow, take a little video for you guys of it in the light so you can actually see it, and then I'll throw it up on the net. But yeah, everything bolted up smooth. There's a little bit of overhang, like I said, but I'm not trimming nothing. And then yeah, so there she is. Hope you guys dig it. Alright, typical Washington fashion. It's raining today. But there she is. Center console So it does sit a little bit higher, but I kind of dig it. And it's a sacrifice I'm willing to make for those cup holders. So there it is. Hope you guys dig it.